Hey, what's going on, guys? Meteorologist Jonathan Kegas with you, hopping on here to track some of these storms live. A tornado outbreak that we've been talking about really since last week is unfortunately underway, coming into fruition. And we want to get right into this because we do have a confirmed tornado in Choctaw County in Mississippi. We have several other tornado warnings in effect across Mississippi right now, but the worst of the worst, if you will, is going to be now right south of Bassfield. Unfortunately, taking this one as it is. And again, this is what we are seeing as we speak right now. This is a confirmed tornado. So oftentimes you'll get the indication radar indicated or confirmed. This has been confirmed by law enforcement on the ground. We are also seeing that from a radar perspective as well. So I'm going to point some things out. Again, Bassfield, this is right on top of you. If you happen to be tuning in from Cantwell Mill or Mount Horeb into Seminary, get into your safe place right now. Again, there is confirmation of a large and destructive tornado on the ground. Again, here is Bassfield. This is coming through town as we speak. This is the most concerning part of the storm, getting ready to cross into Highway 42. So Morris, Melba, get into your safe place as well. Sometimes when you get all this junk to come back around, they take a left turn rather than going right. And there is a lot of precip on the back end of this. So again, keep that in mind as you are going on this evening. Again, there are several tornado warnings in effect, unfortunately for us in Mississippi, and Louisiana for that matter. But the most concerning one here is where we do have a large and destructive tornado on the ground. For more perspective, I'm going to show you a couple of different radar products, and you can post in the comments where you're watching from. We can kind of get a little closer. And we're going to inspect a bunch of these supercell thunderstorms that are ongoing across Mississippi. But again, the most damaging, the most dangerous, and life-threatening right now is in Choctaw County, just to the south of Bassfield, Mississippi. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn on what we call correlation coefficient. It kind of looks inside of the storm. It dissects what is in there, whether it's all rain, whether there's hail involved. And when there's damage, it can pick that up. And we're specifically in the correlation coefficient mode. We are looking for this blue color. And if you see that blue color, that means that the radar is likely seeing debris. So this is what we call a tornado debris signature. So unfortunately, this storm is producing damage already. And again, this is going to be on the south side of Bassfield. Cantwell Mill, you are up next. So please be in your safe place, interior room, lowest level of your home. Get anything that can cover your head. Again, most injuries don't consist of you being blown away or picked up by the thing. It's all because of the debris that's being thrown into you. So you want to make sure that you are covering your head. That is the most important thing here. So please be safe, and please make sure you are taking that seriously. Question of anything in Georgia. Eventually, this is coming in your direction. It's going to be much less severe by the time it gets to Georgia. There's nothing in Georgia right now, at least of life-threatening concern. So keep that in mind. So good news for you if you are watching for that. You got it, Eddie. Appreciate you tuning in as always. Again, all right. So we're going to get back to this because this is life-threatening. Of course, large and destructive tornado being reported by law enforcement as we speak. I'm going to pull up a few different things to make sure that I'm giving you the best information that I can, following several different sources here. So now the confirmed tornado located over Sherwood. This is going to be 20 miles southwest of Montpelier. These are also moving very, very fast. So this is moving due east at 40 miles an hour. So you are not going to have a ton of time to react to this. So again, if you are watching from, I'm going to zoom out to kind of show you some other things. So confirmed tornado continues on Highway 35 on the Marion Jeff Davis line as well. So, hi from California. What about Texas? I believe everything now is east of Texas. This is just, it's the last, looks like tornado warning of the event for Texas is is right on the Texas-Louisiana line. The time for Texas to be impacted from this was a little bit earlier in the evening. We can take a look near Dallas, and we are nice and quiet. We are nice and clear. The concern is with these cells now that are in Louisiana, in Mississippi, and specifically now we have a confirmed one here. So we were just showing you the tornado debris signature there. This is awful. What we're seeing here, this is debris. So you see that heightened color there, the red reflectivity on the screen. This is the radar. There should not be reflectivity. The color there, bright red. It is the radar, unfortunately, seeing debris, homes, cars, things like that. So this is a very nasty system. This is moving due east. So if you know of anybody that lives in Seminary, Mississippi, in Union, Mississippi, Sanford, Mississippi, let them know. I'm sure, it's my hope anyway that they have been paying attention. I know with the Thanksgiving holiday, though, that some people may have been tuned out for a couple of days. But this is ugly. And I hate that we are talking under these circumstances. We like to have fun on this channel when tracking the weather. We track it together. But unfortunately, the weather is turning destructive and hopefully not turning deadly here. But we have, so here's the latest information. This again coming in from the National Weather Service. And so that's what we've been talking about here. Confirmed tornado located near Carson or 15 miles north of Columbia, moving east at about 35 miles an hour. So that's the other thing. There's also large hail in and around Dean right now. If you are familiar with that area, you got it. Appreciate you tuning in. Hope your family is safe as well from the earlier severe weather that was going on in Texas. Not too sure what part that they are living in, but the eastern side was really under the gun for that severe weather earlier. Specifically now, watching this, let me turn on some other products here. We're going to go to the velocity mode. Oftentimes, you'll see this shown. Turn that on. High-res velocity. So we're looking for the reds and the greens butted up close together. The red is the wind moving away from the radar. The green is towards the radar. That's the wind. That's the radar seeing some of the hydrometeors, as we call them, the rain, the potential debris moving towards or from the radar. It's how we determine if there is rotation. We have a couple of areas. There's another one here. Likely that's the parent mesocyclone, where the storm is spinning. And then where the actual tornado may be, it looks like you might try to have this trying the weekend. But you can clearly see here, this is the textbook supercell thunderstorm. The tornado would be right in here. And again, it is moving about due east. So I would say in about 15 to 20 minutes, this is going to be towards Union, Mississippi. So if you know anybody, or if you have family there, friends that live there, make sure that give them a call. Let them know that this is coming. I know oftentimes it's, the person who cries wolf, and, sometimes these events don't come into fruition as forecast. Unfortunately, this one is, and unfortunately, there is a large and destructive tornado on the ground in southern Mississippi. For perspective here, we'll zoom out. Jackson, Mississippi is towards the top of your screen. There's the Alabama line. We're going to be under the gun a little bit later on tonight. And once we pipe things down a little bit. I'm not really anticipating things to pipe down for the next couple of hours, but I can show you some of the future high-res radar into Alabama to kind of get our friends in Alabama prepared. And I hope that they are. You know this all too well. Same deal for Mississippi. We've had several rounds of severe weather in years past, specifically damaging tornadoes. Just by, in previous videos, we've kind of highlighted where the outline or where the overlay of the severe weather ingredients were going to be. And it was in southern Mississippi. That was part of the overlay. You can look at a previous video. It doesn't really matter now. But we were talking about that overlay happening pretty much right where we are seeing the most destructive tornadoes, or at least tornado at the moment. We've had several, at least, tornado warnings. We're going to travel up towards Columbus and towards Pickens and Philadelphia. Philadelphia, we know all too well from 2011, Super Outbreak 2. Watching a couple of these conjoined supercells. You see, there's one right here. You can kind of see that kidney bean shape. There's one big supercell, and then a secondary supercell here. We're going to turn on, and when a supercell thunderstorm is the ones that we typically see, again, produce the tornadoes. They don't all produce tornadoes, but in Starkville, Mississippi, let me see if they're currently under tornado watch. Let me back this up and we can look at some perspective here. If you give me 1 second, just looking at some of the latest. So stand by, just looking at some things. Okay, so they are actually they're under a tornado warning right now, Starkville, Mississippi. That's what you mentioned, correct? Let me just go back to the chat to make sure that I got. Okay, so if it is Starkville, okay, so they are under a tornado warning right now. So if you might want to let them know in about 15 minutes the weather is going to get ugly. We're going to do, okay, so we're going to inspect that, change in the radar for you. And so this went confirmed. So there is a confirmed tornado heading towards Starkville. So this one is on the ground. It's in progress. The most dangerous part of this storm, you can send them this live feed. I'm sure that they are watching their local news, which I hope that they are. Here is Starkville. It's heading in this direction. So I'm not sure what part of town that they are in. I'm going to do a little bit of jumping around between different radar products. So I'm going to put this in a loop just to see. The good thing is right now, and I don't want to give a false sense of safety here, they definitely need to be in their safe place. Okay, so they need to be in their basement. I know there's really not basements in this part of the country, so lowest level of the home. But the rotation is up here. So if they are on the south side of Starkville, they are certainly better than the north side, but it looks like it's going to miss the main part of town. Still, I want to be clear. If you are in Starkville or if you have friends or family, you need to be in your safe place. I know it sounds weird, but bike helmet on or a mattress or something to cover your head in a situation like this. I know it sounds scary. Believe me, if you've watched this channel long enough, you know I hate hype. It's one of the reasons why I started the channel, because of all of the garbage that's out there on social media to just get clicks and to get likes and to get all that stuff. I hate that. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. But there comes a time where that is necessary to convey the seriousness of the situation. And this is one of those times that we do have an observe. We'll see what that one is. Another tornado warning just popped up to the south and west. I don't know if you can give me any more specifics about where exactly to the north they are. We are close, or any kind of landmarks. I'm not too familiar with Starkville, but here it is on the map. If you recognize any of these communities where they are. Okay, so here we are. There's where they're at, right there. So there's Cedar. So we can stay on this for you since we have we can watch this in real time. In case that they are tuning in, and just so that you can relay information. And again, please let me know. And again, I want them. My biggest thing here is I want them to be safe. I want to make sure that they are getting this information. I don't care how they are getting it. So we're gonna stay on this one since I know that we have at least one person tuning in. Eddie asked, are there several tornadoes? Unfortunately, yes. I'm not sure about it earlier. I was out of commission earlier, but we do have 2 active tornadoes at least that are in progress in Mississippi. The one is northwest of Starkville, not in the town at this time, but here it is up here. I'm going to turn on... It's going to go back and forth, and every now and then. Okay. So this is what I'm concerned with Starkville. You see this color here. I got to get that centered to the screen more. Give me 1 second, because this is what I'm concerned with in Starkville. This is the tornado debris signature right here. I know there's a lot of crazy colors on your screen right now. What I want you to focus on is where I just highlighted. Let me see if I can turn on my other. Right in there. This is where the radar is picking up damage. So again, that is what we call a tornado debris signature. So Double Springs is about to be impacted by a tornado. This is no doubt going to roll into the north side of Starkville. These things do tend to drop down, lift up, drop down, lift up. So I can't guarantee you, and I hope it doesn't, of course, hit Starkville. But on its current path, this is going to be there shortly. I mean, towards Valley View, towards Cedar Point, Rolling Hills, Northgate, Patrick, Presley Pace, Rosedale. So again, into that Cedar Point area, if you are still with me, Flow Life, Roblox, it's concerning, certainly, for Cedar Point. Okay, I'm glad you're still with me. So yeah, do everything you can to call them. I don't want to distract them from getting into their safe place. Just gonna look in. Every now and then I'm gonna check some reports. I have what we call our National Weather Service chat. So a direct line to the National Weather Service, the government entity responsible for issuing the warnings, and everything. So they talk about it's a direct line into emergency management, law enforcement, what they are seeing, some storm chasers that are out there. So we have the direct feed to them so that we can give you the best information possible. Okay, that makes me very, very happy. I am glad that they are there. Make sure that they are staying there. Again, this is moving pretty quickly. I'm going to get you the latest here. Get the chat thing off. This is now... So yeah, and this thing is moving very, very fast. Very fast. 40 miles an hour. Just wanted to get that confirmation there of it moving 40 miles. We get a new radar scan every 5 minutes. So this should update quickly. because we've seen this one. We'll likely see that out there. I'm going to switch to see if we have a different reflectivity scan. Okay, now we can go over some of here is where all the heavy rain and hail would be. So up towards Rocky Hill, Osborne. The tornado would be right in here. And it also looks like that this is going to start getting rain wrapped. We have some of the cooler outflow starting to meet up with it, which sometimes this tends to choke up the tornado a little bit. It doesn't like that when you get it to be occluded like that. So it's my hope that it does one of those things where it chokes it off for a little bit and lifts prior to that. I can't guarantee that's going to happen, but that's something we typically see when we get this kind of look on radar. So we're going to go back to the velocity. And again, this is what we typically look at to see what direction the wind is going, what direction that the storm motion is moving. Because if we see like what we're seeing now, again, you don't want to see like Christmas colors on this map, the red and green, because that is what we typically see. All right, so the latest scan just came in. It does not look as impressive as it did. Again, no sense of security here. We are under a tornado warning for a confirmed tornado. So no sense of security here, even though from a radar perspective, it kind of fell apart a little bit. So this is, again, still the confirmed tornado for central Webster and western Clay counties in Mississippi. And there are a couple of again, confirmed tornadoes on the ground in Mississippi. We're on the one in this area north of Starkville because of we have one of our friends here who has family north of Starkville. Okay, so the warning has been adjusted here. So now the downtown city of Starkville has been taken out. We thought that this would be on the northern side. Cedar Point is just right on the cusp here of this tornado warning. Let's go back to the correlation coefficient and try to see what the deal is. So again, this is the latest update coming through, and that is where the damage would be. We're seeing this drift off in this direction. So we're still going to be under the gun. Plantation Homes, Rolling Hills, Northgate, Patrick, Starkville, we're under the severe thunderstorm warning. But the tornado warning has been adjusted to the north side of Starkville. Okay, so this is where we have the damage, that tornado debris signature right on through there. So we're going to be watching Starkville closely. So I'm very glad that you asked about Starkville when you did, and I'm very, very glad that your family is taking that seriously and they are in their bunker. So yeah, just zooming out, you can see that's where the worst of it's going to be. It's going to ride just to the north of Starkville. So we're going to take a closer look at that in just 1 second. I want to go back down. We had another tornado confirmed in Bassville, and I want to see, it's still confirmed according to the latest radar update. Yeah, that is ugly next to Seminary. That went through Mount Horeb. We were talking about you there before. Let's turn on the correlation coefficient. So not seeing it as much. Let's see if there is a... So it looks like a news station was hit in Choctaw County, excuse me. So damage is reported there. So yeah, unfortunately, I mean, as we thought, getting damage reports coming in, unfortunately, we still have that. All right, so this just popped up again. I believe that's going to be the debris signature. Sometimes, it takes a second for the products to line up. You'll get the reflectivity scan first, and then we're going to do that. If you're watching from Collins, the tornado part isn't coming your way, but man, that is some big hail. That is some really big hail. So yeah, I mean, max hail size, bigger than quarters. That's golf ball size hail, 1.25 inches. And if you guys, again, want to post where you're watching from, if you're in this area or just kind of tuning in if you have friends and family, we're going to go back and check on the Starkville tornado warning. That, again, Starkville, the downtown area, is no longer in this, but on the north side of town, it is. That's awesome. I hope you're enjoying the Bahamas and the weather has been good down there. All right, so I'm going to switch my radars back over because these radars only have about a view of about 120, 25 miles, somewhere in that ballpark. All right. Okay, so the velocity scan is looking a little better. That is looking noisy. No, you're okay. You are good. I misspell all the time when I'm talking in the chat. that is all good. There's no judgment here. All right, so I'm just right now what I'm doing, and you can keep posting in the chat. I'm just going through the different National Weather Service chat rooms that I have to make sure, because in those chats we get, hey, Albany, good evening. I hope you are doing well. Thanks for tuning in to the live stream as we watch, unfortunately, this severe weather outbreak unfold. Again, kind of just watching impatiently here for our friends in Cedar Point that are hunkered down, waiting for this worst of the weather to pass. Again, we are now in the main event time. We've had a couple of severe thunderstorms, tornado warnings earlier in the day. That was to be expected. That was kind of the first junk, the first push of the atmosphere. This is the main event, going back now towards Louisiana. So this line. So this is what we're going to be concerned with over the next few hours. I want to take you back towards Louisiana. We have a tornado warning in effect. Radar indicated tornado. And again, I know there is a perception of, okay, it's radar indicated. Radars are a lot better now. Just because it's radar indicated doesn't mean that it's not going to eventually materialize. So anytime that you are under a tornado warning, you need to take it seriously. Of course. All right, so this is going to be towards Louisiana. Weather Service out of Shreveport. This is going to be Natachitoches Parish, getting into Sabin Parish, and so those two counties until 6:15. You got it. Thank you. Please, please keep me posted on if they are okay. We're going to continue to watch that. But thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the information, and we're thinking about your family there in Starkville for sure. Appreciate it. Thank you, buddy. All right. This is closer now. This is, all right. We're going to head back towards, this cell looks ugly. No tornado warning on it, but there might be shortly. If I would have to guess, this is going to be north of Alexandria, Louisiana. And you can see this very big supercell. Call that a high precipitation supercell. Sometimes as well, when you get these big rained, these huge supercells with a lot of rain in it, their motion can be a little more erratic. They tend to kind of jog a little bit further south rather than just kind of drift to the north and east. So we're going to be watching that closely as well. We'll get you a check inside of that storm. Yeah, so this is ugly. This is likely going to turn into a tornado warning shortly, because we are seeing the rotation right in there. There's certainly, so I would imagine that is going to be upgraded to a tornado warning. And there actually is already in the severe thunderstorm warning, there is a tornado possible tag on it already, because this is an environment, again, conducive to producing those. I have nonstop lightning. It's affecting where I am, so that's a characteristic of supercells. Where are you at? If you could post that in the comments, that would be helpful. Certainly, lightning can be an indication of that. You get the lightning because you get the displacement of the charges, and in supercell thunderstorms, you tend to have a lot of hail, and when you get that ice going through, kind of clanking off each other and displacing those charges from the surface into the upper levels of the atmosphere, that's where you get the lightning. Alabama, at least the western side, we are under that tornado watch. Depending upon what you are, the good news is there are no active warnings for you just yet. I would assume that you are either on the northwest side of the state, northwest of Birmingham, just judging by kind of where all the ugly stuff is. The good news is none of that is severe. The potential for that to change, though, is going to be there as we get later. Our environment in Alabama becomes more conducive for severe weather after the sun goes down. I guess the sun is going down. Forgot it's almost 7 o'clock already. So our severe threat is going to ramp up, unfortunately, over the next couple of hours. All right, so anything near Hattiesburg. There was a little bit ago. We're going to check. So here we go in Hattiesburg. Let me turn back the radar. So thankfully, Hattiesburg is quiet right now. Northwest of you, though, we've been watching this tornado that was confirmed and had done damage. The good news is we've lost the observed tag on this. So it certainly looks much, much weaker than it was before, about 20 to 30 minutes ago when it was confirmed to be on the ground back towards Bassfield, if you're familiar with that area. But Hattiesburg there, we're good right now. Let me zoom out. We're going to go further west, and we're going to inspect some things. Everything now is off towards our north and west. You got it. Appreciate you tuning in. Hope you stay safe. Again, we're not out of the woods just yet, but again, the nasty and ugly stuff is just to our north. A good way. Nasty supercell thunderstorm still rolls on, still tornado warned, but that is going to be north of us. So yeah, and this is why there's still a tornado warning. So we mentioned that, and this is what we call a tornado vortex signature. Again, here is Hattiesburg. So again, we are not included in this tornado warning. I want to be clear of that, but just be vigilant for the rest of the night. Next couple of hours, our severe weather threat is going to continue. I appreciate you. No, thank you for tuning in. And again, please stay safe. This is what we're looking at still. So even though, and this was to my point that we were kind of talking about earlier, where even though there's not a confirmed tornado on this one anymore, these supercells in an environment are cyclic. So they can drop a tornado, go back up for a little bit, and then recycle and then take advantage of the environment. So what we're seeing here is this red color. That is the wind moving away from the radar. The green is the air that's moving toward the radar. So you generate this rotation. So this is the mesocyclone, that part of the storm that is spinning, and then given the rest of the environment, it can drop a tornado. This has a history of producing a tornado. Certainly there's some really big hail towards Leaf River. Again, it still has that iconic hook right in here. So that's where the tornado would sit. And B, if there was one on the ground, I'm going to switch over here. Going to look at and just kind of update so you guys can continue to post where you're watching from, have the conversations amongst yourself. I'm just going to, because all of that helps me kind of find out where you guys are so that I can give you guys the best information. Just looking at the Weather Service, National Weather Service chat room, it's almost like AOL Instant Messenger. But we can get that. It's the emergency management pushes reports if they're seeing anything. There's storm chasers in here so that we can relay that information as well. All right, so if you were with us just like 5 minutes ago, I mentioned about, I believe, if we head back over to Louisiana. Yep, so this is the one. This is the one that we were talking about that had the severe thunderstorm warning that we thought might get upgraded shortly, and it did. So now there is a tornado warning on there, officially a tornado warning. So it should have been in the safe place already since we were talking about this cell. But this looks ugly. It has, I mean, your textbook supercell. These are the dovetails, as we call them, and then the hook. So that is your textbook supercell. So this is, again, a very concerning storm. We're going to inspect this a little further. We were just in here in this particular cell a little bit ago. Yeah, this is ugly. So this is a very tight tornado vortex signature right in here. And this is going to continue to drift off in this direction. So, again, into Clarks, Grayson, Columbia, Louisiana. You guys need to be in your safe place. No, he says, Bean Adventures says that there we go. Pink is usually not a good sign. It is not. And in this scenario, too, this is a very tight couplet, as we call it. Again, when the reds are next to the greens, that is also not a good sign. So let's zoom back out to give you some perspective. If we have anybody tuning in from Louisiana, we've now jumped back to Louisiana. Again, this is a multi-state, unfortunately, tornado outbreak. So this is going to be north of Alexandria. I mean, way to the north of Alexandria. Over to the right of your screen is Jackson, Mississippi. This is the one that is concerning to me. Here is the Mississippi River, the state line there, sliding down. So, again, if you're tuning in from that area, and we'll go back, I mean, you mentioned that pink is normally not a good sign. Right around Clarks and Grayson. Look at this. I mean, now we're back. We're even pinker. So this is likely some very large hail. I mean, not only do we have the potential for a tornado, we have we've got the very large hail in this cell. So there's a lot of damaging things here. We'll go in and I'm going to see the Weather Service text because this is a fresh storm here. So this is Southern Caldwell Parish, as we were talking about, LaSalle Parish in Louisiana. So we've jumped back over to Louisiana. Again, if you guys are tuning in from Mississippi or Alabama or anywhere else, I would love to know where you're tuning in from, even if you're just kind of watching and learning and observing here. Please post that in the comments as we are watching this. Again, this cell is continuing to look more and more concerning, I'm going to turn on the correlation coefficient. It looks like we're starting to see that dropout. We'll see if that is. Okay, so while it is not confirmed, I think we're starting to see the tornado debris signature start to pop up. We'll see if the Weather Service updates this as observed. Radar technology has improved significantly. You can confirm that there is a tornado in progress or on the ground with radar now because the technology is so good. And that's one of the things that we were just looking at. And it's a little noisy, but I think right in here we have the dropout of the correlation coefficient mode, okay? This is looking for the different things inside of the storm. If the objects, like rain, is highly correlated, you get a pink color like you see across most. If it's different shapes in there, then you get this green, yellow, or blue. And where we're looking at that in the general area, that is where the tornado would be, and that indicates that we're in the beginning stages here of a developing tornado debris signature. Certainly, it looks like that on radar. It looks like that from the velocity perspective, the direction that this is moving. I mean, this is very strong winds. Let me turn on the inspector here. You can see what those winds are doing. Just checking to see if I have any more comments. So yeah, I mean, look at that. I mean, it's being estimated at 102 miles an hour. Okay, so there are very strong winds here. That's likely a little bit of noise, so I don't actually think that they are doing 102 miles an hour. We have another supercell thunderstorm on the heels of that. This is going to be now for northeastern Sabine Parish, I should say. Just got a tornado alert. Okay. I'm sorry, were you in Alabama? I'm going to head back over there. I'm sorry, I was just talking to a few, one from Alabama, one from Mississippi. Please forgive me for that. We can go and check what that alert may have been. It may take a second for that to see whether if it was a watch or a warning. All right, so here's the one that we were watching in Starkville. It certainly does not look... It's going to be this little nub that came through, and I know our friend that was watching from the Bahamas went through, had to leave. But I'm going to turn this on to see where this may have gone, and hopefully it did not. I mean, I don't want anybody to get hit. But we were watching that specifically just a few moments ago. Okay, so this is what I was talking about the radar being able to confirm a tornado. So this is a clear tornado debris signature right here. So if you know anybody that's living, I mean, Moons Valley, this is on top of you already. You are seeing damage, and again, this is the most sobering thing as a meteorologist or a person. When you know that there is a tornado on the ground and it's going through a city, and then you can see the damage on radar, that those are unfortunately people's homes and lives that were just ripped apart. That is no doubt the worst part of this. But we're here trying to keep you ahead of these storms and to have that conversation just to make sure. And I know this was a very, unfortunately, well forecast outbreak. It may not have been listened to that much because we just had the Thanksgiving holiday, of course. And I hope that people were paying attention when they got back in town, if they were out of town, to kind of prepare and just be vigilant that this was coming. So that is, again, coming towards Columbus. So if you know of anybody that's living or watching or friends in Columbus, feel free to either share this with them or call them or text them, and to make sure that they are getting into their safe place, because this is, I'll turn that on for perspective again. Here is, and I know this color is crazy, what you see on the thing right here. I know there's colors everywhere, but there's where the debris is being picked up by the radar. Here is Columbus for reference. So again, if you know anybody in Columbus, in Whiteberry, Point Harbor, Woodlawn, Mississippi. Again, we're on the Mississippi cell right now. We're watching that closely for you guys. So just keep that in mind. A very concerning situation there. All right, so now, and again, please post in the comments where you're watching from. If you have friends that are involved in some of these tornado warnings, we'll go inspect that. If you have family around, again, you guys can kind of drive here to where we go. We're kind of tracking these together here in real time. So again, please put in the comments. I would love to know where you're watching from anyway, even if you're not in these areas. You can post that in the comments. And again, we can take a look and go to any spot that you want to go, because the atmosphere is ugly tonight. And again, we're just hoping that everybody is staying safe while this is all ongoing. All right, so let's see. I'm just going to go through, look at all of these, see, and we have all radar indicated tornadoes. Again, it doesn't matter that it's radar indicated or not. We're going to need to take these seriously in these areas. Just going to get a drink here. Sorry about that. Didn't want to lose my voice on you guys. All right, we're going to turn on the regular radar. And then we're going to go back to switch the radar. So most concerning areas in and around Columbus, Mississippi. Okay, so that's number one. That's heads up number one. So if you know anybody in extreme eastern Mississippi, let them know. This is going to be south of Tupelo. I'll get my telestration back on. There's Tupelo. Here is Columbus. This just came on the north side of Starkville. In and around Columbus. If you know of anybody there, text them just to make sure that they are aware. I'm sure they do know. I hope that they know, and I hope that they are in their safe place and okay. So we're going to do kind of a radar tour here, all right? So just stop me if you see something interesting. Stop me if again, if you're just joining and you want to check someplace out or know of anybody in Mississippi or Alabama or Louisiana, we're going to go break that part down for you. Again, I'm going to let you guys kind of drive all this stuff. The next supercell, as we go back down in the line, I got to change my radar perspective. This is going to be out of Jackson, Mississippi, the radar. We have a severe thunderstorm off towards our west in Jackson. So this is just off to our west. Not a tornado warning. On a day like today, though, when the atmosphere is so volatile, almost kind of treat these severe thunderstorms can just spin up a tornado very, very quickly. All right, so we have WTVA News says if there was a tornado, it would probably go through Columbus. Yeah, I mean, that honestly looked like one of the main spots here. Unfortunately, again, that is where, right in here where that giant thing of red is that I just put on your screen, that it was where the highest tornado probability corridor was. So again, unfortunately, this was very well forecast. All right. What's happening in Texas and Oklahoma? Do you mean just you thought you saw something like on the news or something talking about the potential for severe weather? If you did, that was a little earlier in the afternoon. We are nice and clear, at least in West Texas. Let me get this junk off the color here real quick. But we can go back and inspect. I don't think, yeah, we are nice and quiet. The main part of the system now is all the way back in, has now moved out of Texas. There may be an extreme southeast, like maybe north of Galveston. We might still have a severe thunderstorm, potentially a tornado warned storm in the atmosphere. But by and large, this is now, no, you're okay. You are all good. Texas was certainly under the gun earlier. So no, you are good. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of states involved. I just want to make sure. I see. My bad. Okay. I got you. Yeah, these are in Mississippi and Alabama. All right, so yeah, they were right on the money when they said it could go through Columbus. So here is the other tornado warned cell. Okay, so we're going to watch this one closely. It still says radar indicated. We're going to inspect this one in real time. Again, stop me if you're just joining and you want to look at something in particular. If you have friends or family somewhere, we'll certainly check that out for you. Again, you can dictate this, but I don't like what I'm seeing on this one. So we are going to inspect it in real time. So you already see the textbook hook echo here, right in here. And yes, that is me. That is me. That is my name. That is my name. Here is that signature hook echo, okay? So that's the first thing that is concerning from just the plain old radar perspective. Yeah, so this isn't good either. We were talking about, again, green is, the green color here is the air moving toward the radar. The yellow is the air moving away from the radar. That's the circulation right in here, okay? So that's where the tornado would be, right smack dab in there. Let me just check to see. It could be. Let me just circle that. We'd be looking for, yeah, there could be something right towards Hurricane, Mississippi. So I think Florida gets spared from any kind of severe weather with this. What we get is some of the cooler air behind this system on Thursday. So we may have some thunderstorms tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday, right? My days are all screwed up. We might get some thunderstorms tomorrow, not expecting anything to be severe. All of the upper level support, all the dynamics are going to lift north. So this is going to stay away, like the widespread severe stuff, certainly nothing like this. And then we're going to get some of that cooler air kind of trickle in, really kind of blasting some of the coolest air we've had in a few weeks anyway. Still not anything crazy. We're not talking frost or anything. But certainly cooler, highs in the low to mid 70s. By Thursday. All right, so question is this normal late in the year to have tornadoes in the deep south? So November, this is getting kind of late now, but November is known as the second season, and the second season for severe weather, because we do have the seasons changing, of course. We have colder air coming down, and when you get these large systems, it kind of pulls up all of that still warm, very moist, I know people hate that word, very warm and moist air mass from the Gulf of Mexico. So you get the high humidity that the severe weather likes. You get the instability that the severe weather likes because you have the colder air moving in on top of warmer air. Then you have that clash and all that stuff. So, yeah, if there is a spot for these late season events, it is going to be the Deep South, your Louisiana, into Arkansas, Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia. And it does certainly happen in February too. Again, I go back to, especially now we're in a La Nina year. An El Nino year would favor more severe weather in the South during the winter time. I'm talking like January, February, like he's talking about here. But yeah, what you'll get is, because of course everybody comes to Florida in the Deep South to escape the winter cold, and you still have every now and then that humidity. What we have a lot of times in the winter, especially during an El Nino, is a very active subtropical jet stream. So you have the polar jet way up north that kind of crashes down and brings us the cold air, especially up north. There's also something known as the subtropical jet stream, and that kind of hangs out in the tropics. It's the reason why, for those that are in Hurricane Alley, during an El Nino year, it typically is a slower season because there's that subtropical jet involved. There's more wind shear. Now, the severe thunderstorms like the wind shear. Hurricanes don't. And when you get those cold fronts coming down in the middle of winter, you get the storms to flare up and develop, and then those storms can take advantage of that active subtropical jet and can spin up strong thunderstorms or even tornadoes. I know it was just a few years ago that Florida was in a high risk for tornadoes. And I remember specifically, I want to say it was 98, the bad year of the fires, that there was also bad stuff going on in Florida for severe weather. And then certainly in 1993, the blizzard of 93, in the Deep South, there were tornadoes like crazy, big tornadoes at that. All right, so back to where we stand here. Back to where we stand. I hope not. I think the monsoon trough is super far south, and it tends to go down further south as the sun angle goes down. So that is why it has been so wet down towards Trinidad and Tobago and into South America and into Central America, Honduras, Nicaragua, Belize. That's where the monsoon trough has been. And it had looked like for a little bit that we were going to get another tropical system out of the deal, but it all stayed within the monsoon trough. And it wouldn't have been strong anyway, but it's still bringing some very heavy rain to those areas in Central America and into Trinidad and Tobago. So that's kind of where that is, and that's going to continue. That'll continue to lift towards the southern hemisphere now. Yeah, good questions. Great stuff. What's not good stuff is what's going on the radar right now. Jackson, the good thing is we call this kind of blobbing out. In a severe weather situation like this, we like to see a whole big blob, because when the storms are isolated or discrete, that's when they have the best chance to produce tornadoes. We're going to watch this close. So you see these guys here. These are just popping up. So we're going to watch those close to see if they can take advantage. Also, in a severe weather outbreak scenario, the southern cells or the southern supercells have the best opportunity to be those strong long track tornadoes, because the environment is likely untapped and they're not competing with other cells. Like this guy here near Jackson's competing with those. There's going to be cooler outflow that's going to be ingesting. So while this thing near Jackson could be damaging, and there is a severe thunderstorm warning on the north side of Jackson, it's going to be difficult, I think, for that to become tornadic. Not impossible. So again, make sure that you are vigilant. Yes. So and that was one of the cells. That is one of the cells that we were kind of tracking earlier that had that tornado debris signature on it. It's always, that's the worst part, to start seeing those, the images and the reports come in of what you're seeing on radar, because sometimes when you're looking at it, you can kind of just be like, okay, that is damage on the radar, but those, are people's homes and people's livelihoods, and that's obviously, you don't want to see that, and that's the worst part of that. No question. Okay, so now, all right, so this is exactly what I was talking about. So this is now north of Hattiesburg and Laurel. So we're going to watch this one close, because that one's by itself, and there's nothing else around it. Also, this one back here, this is the one that did have, I have to switch my radar. I'm going to get real close to that one. So this one's kind of in a radar dead zone. We're kind of, when I mean radar dead zone, we have a radar out of Alexandria. We have a radar out of Jackson. They're shooting up like this, the beam. And as you get further away from the thunderstorm, or from the radar, I should say, as the thunderstorm is further away, it's harder to see what's going on at the surface. So you're kind of looking further up into the mesocyclone, the main parent thunderstorm rotation, and that's what it's kind of hard to determine what is actually going on in there, since it's so far away from the radar. But we do have now, hot off the press, a confirmed tornado. On the ground right now, this is going to be just over, so this is getting ready to cross into Mississippi. Here is Vicksburg, Mississippi, okay? So if anybody is watching from Vicksburg or knows of anybody in Vicksburg, these storms are having the tendency to kind of lift. You just saw that radar update. I'll put that into motion for you. Kind of watch what happens. This top cell there just kind of like absorbed this developing supercell here. So you have this kind of one like mega cell sliding through. And that is going to be eventually heading back up towards Vicksburg. I'm going to switch my radars here. And again, that one's in the radar dead zone, so it's really hard to get in. So we do have the ground truth, though. Somebody has reported that. Let's see some of the details on this. We're going to pop this up here. So, okay, the tornado was reported near Columbia. This is Columbia, Louisiana, moving northeast at 50 miles an hour. So we talked about this earlier, haven't mentioned it in a while, but these cells are moving incredibly fast. So don't go out and try to look at it. Don't try to get the pictures. Don't try to get Instagram-worthy stuff and stuff like that. They're raining heavily. So, number one, okay, it doesn't matter about that because it's dark outside. It's 7:20 in the evening, Eastern time, 6:20 Central time, just about. So, night has fallen. There is Columbia, where, again, that report came in, and these are kind of moving in that direction. So, Gilbert, Newellton, we're not under that tornado warning there just yet. That will likely change, though. I don't know if velocity is going to do anything. And it's so hard to see because it's so high up or so far away from the radar. They need a radar pretty much right where that storm is. There's just the coverage of the radar right here where we're looking at in northeast Louisiana is terrible. Where exactly, or where are you referring to? I'm sorry. About where you heard about the tornado before it disappeared, and we can check on that. I'm going to go back to the Jackson radar. We have 3 other active tornado warnings. We're going to go to northeast Mississippi. So here we go in Columbus. We still have, so if you're familiar, if you're watching from Columbus Air Force Base, here we go with, this is, oh, we just had the scan. So this could be trying to cycle. Certainly the couplet is not as tight. It's a little more broad. We were looking before where we almost had like a green streak and a red streak, but this is kind of broadened out. It is still spinning. So again, can produce a tornado at any time. The Air Force Base is just to the north of the rotation. Here is Caledonia. There is Woodlawn. Roanoke Estates, Sherwood Forest, Rolling Fork Estates, Holly Hill, Green Acres. This is on the north side of Columbus. That is the most dangerous part of the storm. Not seeing any of the debris being lofted, although this could be a little bit of the lowering of the correlation coefficient. But it doesn't look too pronounced. Let's check this out. I'm going to turn on the regular reflectivity. So, I mean, I like what is going on here in northwest of Birmingham. Certainly, there can still be damaging. You can get a quick spin-up tornado here with what we have going on. South of Huntsville, we're good. But in around Jasper, Birmingham, this is all kind of just one big blobby mess right now. And the more these start to congeal, they become a little less likely to produce tornadoes. And that is something we were certainly expecting to happen, especially once we got into the central part of Alabama. Really, the main event, so to speak, was going to be in extreme western Alabama into northeastern Louisiana, and then, of course, right smack dab through Mississippi. All right, we're going to go check on this Hattiesburg cell. And when I say Hattiesburg, this is well to the north of, gosh, if you're still talking about Florida, I hope way sooner. It's just been awful. Today was gorgeous. Today was gorgeous in Florida. Finally got blue sky back. And yeah, all that stuff. So that was nice to see. All right, so we have a radar indicated tornado. We're going to check on that. Okay, so this is you are welcome. I appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. I hope everybody stays safe. This is a good, all right, so if you just saw that, okay, if you just saw what just happened, I was just going to say, okay, this looks like it broadened out a little bit. And as I was going to say that, it tightened up. So that's why it's always important to, no matter what you're under, tornado warning, or if someone says that it's confirmed, it doesn't matter. This is what, it just tightened up again. So you see this very bright green? See that? Thumbs up if you see that, or give it a like if you see that, or post that in the chat. And then you see this green, the red against the green. That is a tornado vortex signature. So if there was a tornado, it'd be right in here. We're going to inspect that further. We're going to go to the reflectivity, okay? So again, we are inspecting this in real time with you. We are diagnosing this stuff just north of Matthews, just to the west of Moss. So if you're in Moss or Bonner, Markwald, Haney, Sandersville, safe place now. If you know anybody that lives there, safe place now. So that's the velocity product again. Okay, so I'm not able to confirm if there's a tornado there or not. It looks very concerning, but I'm not seeing the debris signature there. It doesn't mean that there's not one on the ground. There could be, but from St. Vincent, welcome. Yeah, and it's crazy. On a day where severe weather is in the forecast, you do not want to see sunshine. Yep, you just posted it. You just posted it. That's the worst sign. It's sunshine on a severe weather setup day is a no-go. You do not want sunshine because that cranks up the instability. That's the fuel that those storms get going to kind of pop. So yeah, you do not want sunshine at all on a severe weather day. So you wanted it to look ugly and cloudy and drizzly and all that jazz this morning, and of course, that did not happen. It does look like Tornado Central over here, unfortunately. I'm going to turn on the reflectivity, the regular radar now. It is. It is. No, it's I know it's like it has a mind of its own, like the atmosphere, like it just knows. I like to think of it as kind of like a pop can, Coke can, no matter, or pop, soda, whichever thing you use to describe the soft drink, and you shake it up, and obviously it doesn't explode on you because the cap is closed, or the little whatever the heck you call it, the tab, you haven't opened it yet. But then as soon as you open up the bottle or crack open the thing on the can, it goes everywhere. We have something that's called the cap, and certainly this is something you really have out in the plains. It's a layer of warm air a couple thousand feet up that kind of prevents the storms from popping until there's enough sunshine to generate the instability, and then things explode. Just like what he's talking about here. It's holding it back, and then it just pops. Yeah, it's crazy. And right, you would think that. You would think that. Gorgeous day, lots of sunshine. You start things off, and going about your business, but that's the telltale sign again. So if anyone's ever under the gun for severe weather, and you see sunshine, that's always a bad sign. Again, when you're under the gun for severe weather, on most days, sunshine is good. We'll take sunshine. But that's why it's important to stay up with the weather. And we got you covered here. And also your local news channel. All right, so in and around Vicksburg, we're getting this little tornado icon that pops up here. So the radar thinks there's some shenanigans going on here. Let's get in here. Vicksburg, I think we're going to be fine, at least from the thing that's over us now. Back off to the west, though, we're watching that beefy storm. Really ugly. So let me go. All right, so we do have a little bit of rotation. Again, this would be something to watch south of Vicksburg. Warrenton Heights. Again, this is your classic. Okay, we're starting to get a little bit of red to pop up here. There's a lot of bit of green. So we're starting to get that rotation a little bit. Okay, so we're going to watch that one closely south of Vicksburg. Now, back to the west of Vicksburg, this is that nasty guy. Okay, this really ugly cell. And we're going to check. This is the one that's kind of in the radar no man's land. So it's really hard to inspect. But this might end up being the last cell that we have to worry about in Louisiana. There's another one back here. Spoke too soon. So we're going to have to watch this one closely right now. There is a severe thunderstorm warning to the west of Winfield, Louisiana, with the tag tornado possible. And what that means is we're starting to see it spin a little bit. Not enough there yet to issue a tornado warning from the National Weather Service. Again, the National Weather Service is the one that issues the warnings here. Let me see. Yes, it is. We are. So it looks like in the Jackson, Mississippi Weather Service chat, they are talking about, I think there's a storm chaser on or an emergency manager on that cell, and they were asking if they had seen anything off the south of Vicksburg. And that's the one that we just inspected where it was, like you were saying there, this one's starting to brew up right now. This little guy here. So Jackson, Mississippi, if you are in Jackson, if you're around it, keep an eye, not the stuff to your north. Looks like there's some hail, that purple there that's showing up. But this junk here is going to be relatively fine. This is the cell that it currently has no warning on it. And if it starts to look a little more concerning, certainly the Weather Service is going to issue either a severe thunderstorm warning or a tornado warning on it. But in Jackson, we've got not one, and same for Vicksburg. We've got not one, that right here, but then we have the secondary one that we have all been watching back off to the west, and it's still hard to get a gauge on this from a radar perspective, but again, there is still the observed tag here, and that is so I'm just looking at it is. So as I was just checking some of the chat stuff here, it looks like we now have that confirmed tornado again near Columbus. Okay, so this is exactly what we were talking about. How they cycle, how we lost the confirmed tag on there, and that's why you never let your guard down. When I say it looks a little better, it's certainly a positive thing. But you never let your guard down on because these things are so weird and they cycle, especially in an environment like what we are in now. So let's check this. Radar observed. This is now going to cross into state lines. So here we go. That is the Alabama state line. So if you're watching from western Alabama, here is Jasper, Carbon Hill, Fayette, Kennedy, Millport, Belk. Heads up now, safe place. Okay? Start thinking about getting stuff to protect your head, bike helmet. I know that sounds really weird to go grab a bike helmet if you have one. But again, most of the injuries, most of the fatalities are because people get hit by flying debris. It's not from the actual tornado itself, like picking somebody up or anything like that. So make sure that you are doing that and just preparing yourself. All right, this one looks really nasty. So here we go. This is going to be near Louisville. So south of Starkville. So this is where we were earlier. Yikes. All right. So this is still a radar indicated. Let me see. This is back in, this is going to be Jackson, Mississippi. So let me hop over to the Jackson, Mississippi. Okay. So we were just talking about Jasper and how there wasn't, TDS South Jasper. Now I have to find out where we just saw Jasper. Give me 1 second, and then I'll get into that question. Basically, it's the radar seeing high reflectivity. So the radar sends a beam out, and then it comes back. The more dense the junk is in the storm, the brighter the color. So what that purple is there is a very nasty hail core. So that's seeing the hail. So there's a lot of hail. Just getting things resituated here. Okay, so down back to Hattiesburg, that is where so the radar hasn't updated yet, but it said near Jasper we have a confirmed tornado now. Sorry for the zooming in and out. I'm going to make sure I'm on the right radar. So, okay, we're out of the Jackson, Mississippi radar. So this is what's concerning on this. See that hook right there? That's your iconic supercell. Tornado producing supercell. Let me get the velocity up. Oh yeah, this is ugly. Tornado vortex signature right here. All right, so confirmed tornado located over Vernon or near Stringer, moving northeast at 30 miles an hour. So these are still a significant tornado is confirmed. So right here, this is the disgusting part. So be thinking about these people. Right here, Vernon, Mississippi, Blue Ridge, Mississippi. This is all damage. This is all damage being lofted up into the air by the tornado. I know there's a lot of colors on your screen, but we're focused here on the blue in this green color here. This is lifting towards Vernon, lifting towards Blue Ridge. So if you know anybody here, and again, feel free to share this and give this video a like. It'll send it out to more people. Again, I'm sure that people are watching, but I just want to make sure that they know what's going on, because this is just an awful, awful situation. I want to put this back to the regular reflectivity. And again, we have a confirmation of a significant tornado ongoing. And there's another one up by Columbus Air Force Base. So, as expected, we are seeing this just turn into an ugly, ugly situation. I mean, this is about the time, again, if you saw the video from yesterday, that we were talking about, oh my gosh. This is terrible. This is terrible. You see this? This is a debris ball. This is the one near Columbus. That lavender color there. That's terrible. Oh man. So, okay, this is ready to cross over the line. This may be the quote unquote that tornado of the event that you're going to see on the news. You're likely going to see a lot of that. But man, this is ugly. It's out ahead of stuff. It's by itself. This could go on for quite some time. All right. So this is serious. if you are watching, oh my gosh. All right, if you're watching from Fayette, we are not in a tornado warning yet. You will be. Safe place now. Kingville, Star, Melbourne, into Fernbank, Millport. You see it moving. It's getting ready to cross the state line right now. Again, this is going to be the tornado of the night. You typically have one or a couple start to form here. It's got healthy inflow. So it's unfortunately breathing very well. There's really nothing impeding it at all. Oh my goodness. This is so this big black thing here, big black and blue, that is all the debris. They just went over Military Road in Woodlawn. Just, oh my goodness, that is a significant tornado. This is going to continue off to the west. So if you know anybody that lives along the Alabama-Mississippi line, please let them know. I mean, you can clearly see that. Look, I mean, I'm zoomed out. Here is Columbus. Here is Fayette. Tuscaloosa's way down here for reference in circles here. And then a large tornado, a very, very large and destructive tornado in between Columbus and Caledonia, right about to cross into Alabama. Yikes. That is awful. Awful. Where is... So there's the Air Force Base up here. Yeah, so the town of Woodlawn. Keep them in your prayers tonight. For sure. That is a very, very, very big tornado that just went through there. 7 miles east of Columbus. Looks like it might be trying to, weaken a little bit. Like, if you want to call it that. Let's see. Let me look at the velocity. Yeah, it's certainly not as, but we're going off of just like, there's the tornado vortex signature still. The debris signature is getting, let's see here. Just getting all my bearings set again. We're watching this getting ready to cross into Alabama. This is the one that had been near the Columbus Air Force Base. Don't want to forget anybody down in central Mississippi. And the other confirmed tornado we have, we've got several tornadoes on the ground, at least two. One east of Columbus, and one near Jasper. Again, this one's also concerning down here. It's just everywhere you look. It's just crazy. All right, sorry. Okay, so now some of the questions. We'll get to that. It looks like late tomorrow afternoon into the early evening. That's when we'll get stuff depending upon where you're at. I assume that you're in Central Florida. But that's going to be late into the evening through early or late into the afternoon, early into the evening, depending upon where you are. If you're northwest of Orlando, a little bit earlier. If you're southeast of Orlando, a little bit later. But then we'll get that scattered stuff. And again, the severe threat is extremely low with that. In terms of Columbus, that particular tornado went north of Columbus. So the north side may have gotten brushed by that. This does look like it's showing signs of trying to fall apart. Hopefully it does. Remember, there was all that junk out here northwest of Birmingham and Tuscaloosa that we were looking at. So maybe the environment is all worked over out here to kind of kill it. That would be nice, or at least to start a weakening trend. So we're going to watch that close. Let's see. We're going to check in on that one near Vicksburg. Not forgetting about you guys. If there's anybody watching from in or around Vicksburg, got to go back to the Jackson, Mississippi radar. So here we go. There is that one cell that we were kind of watching. It's still weak, but it still has an ugly look. Certainly not as ugly as this thing back here, where we have another tornado on the ground. So again, if you are in Vicksburg, if you know of anybody in Vicksburg, let them know that this is coming, because right now there's not a tornado warning in effect for Vicksburg itself. But to our west, not that far anyway, there is a tornado on the ground. So here is, let me pull up my distance tool here. And that is about, I don't know why it's not giving me my distance, but it's not that far. Okay, these things are moving also very quickly, so these are going to be off. So you see by by 7:49, it's in like 5 minutes. It's already going to be here. So all these blue dots, there's 8:09, 8:19. You see the timeline there. Okay, so these things are moving very fast, 35 to, in some cases, 50 miles an hour. And that's going to be heading towards Vicksburg with, again, that is a confirmed tornado. So not just radar indicated. It is a confirmed tornado. For everybody just joining us, welcome. If you have a special place that you want us to inspect as part of this severe weather outbreak, please post it in the comments. If you are just tuning in to kind of watch what's happening as this unfortunate event unfolds, I would still love to know where you're watching from. Post that in the comments and give the video a like. It does help a lot, and it helps to show this video to more people. So I would appreciate that like as well as we go forward to alert everybody that's in the way. And again, it's my hope that people knew about this, hopefully from watching local news or this channel, that this was coming. And I mean, there's not really much you can do to prepare for. It's not like a hurricane where, okay, you can evacuate and things like that, but just to be aware and have a way to get warnings, especially because it's even worse when it happens after the sun goes down, like what we are seeing right now. All right, so let's see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 tornado warnings in effect right now. 3 of those have tornadoes actually on the ground. So that's crazy. Not surprising, though. I mean, the environment was right. It was prime. And I always like to say, I know we had the question earlier from His New Life asking about, is this rare for November? I always say that the weather doesn't care what month it is. If the ingredients are there, it's going to do what it does. So, I mean, the environment doesn't have a calendar per se. So all that stuff. You know, a lot of them do. And the reason for that is because most of them happen after that cap breaks, especially out in the plains. So you do have a lot of those nocturnal tornadoes. Now, also in the deep south, we certainly have most of those tornadoes coming at night. Like we're seeing now, like we saw that in 2011 with the crazy super outbreak. A lot of them do happen at night. And that's, of course, when they become most deadly. People let their guard down. People may not have a way to get warnings, and that's the part that that I hate the most. It does seem that, you know, we did a story on this. It's hit or miss. Hurricanes just last so long that we'll see the video at night, and they become more dangerous at night too. So it's a little more perception than actuality on that. But I mean, of course, we saw that with Ian. We saw that with Nicole. So it's crazy. I mean, again, night just makes everything worse in terms of the weather. So yeah, it's just ugly. All right, after our reset here, let's see what is going on. Welcome to anybody that is just tuning in. Thanks for finding this channel. We love having you with us and tracking and talking the weather. That's what we do here on this channel. If you like the weather, if you like following it and staying informed and tracking, we would love to have you on board. We'd love to have you subscribe and give the video a like so that more people can see the stuff that we are putting out, because I love talking about the weather, and I hope you do too. And I love talking about it when people aren't being affected by this ugly, devastating, and damaging stuff. And hopefully everybody is staying safe tonight. So we're checking back on you on Vicksburg. And again, there's nothing severe right now. But we do have this, I believe it's still observed. Yes, so it is still a confirmed tornado on the ground. And ping pong ball size hail. So we had the question again about what does the purple mean? And we talked about that really big hail core. That is it too. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that, because that's one of the other reasons why I kind of started this. There's a lot of just some of the stuff up there that is just very clicky. And I just want to try to get rid of some of that noise. So I appreciate you tuning in, and I appreciate that as well. All right, so 1, 2, 3, still 4 tornado warnings in effect. Let's check up on the one that now moved in. And yeah, so this is doing, I think, what it's doing. There's still a tornado warning. It is still observed, so it's still on the ground, but it's looking a little less healthy. I don't care what it takes. I just want this one to look a little less healthy. Okay, from a velocity perspective, this looks a lot less healthy. Do you remember what it looked like back here? Let me see if I can go back for you. Take it back a few frames. And I'm going to kind of go through this. You see how tight that couplet was there? And now it's all kind of broad and spread out. So again, this is one of those things where I'm like, okay, don't let your guard down if you're in these areas. But there's encouraging signs. This is now getting into an environment that has rain-cooled air. Again, they like a warm, moist environment. So we were kind of expecting this to happen. Now, we'll have to see if this is going to be a long-term trend with this particular cell, or is it going to be just a cycle? And that's why you never let your guard down, because these things, especially in this environment, come and go. They cycle, they ramp up, they pulse down, and then they ramp up again whenever they find an environment that it likes. So we're going to keep on watching that, but certainly some short-term encouraging signs on that cell that moved through Woodlawn, just devastating Woodlawn. So we're likely, unfortunately, going to see some ugly video coming out of there. So again, keep those people in your prayers tonight. All right, let's check some of these out. head back to Jackson, Mississippi. So it looks like we still have a very nasty one. This is the one that was near Jasper earlier. I believe. Okay, so we still have a tornado on the ground here. Tornado on the ground. High res. And then here again, green is air that's flowing toward the radar, okay? Remember that? And then the red is the air flowing away from the radar. So there is your rotation right in here. So now we're going to do some more inspecting in real time. Matches up. And yeah, we're still seeing, and again, sometimes it takes a second for the correlation coefficient, again, looking at the damage to see that tornado debris signature. And this is the tool, again, that meteorologists can use to confirm a tornado without actually having that ground proof. Prior to about 2000, I'm going to get my years right, about 2010, dual polarization radar started going in. And that dual pool is not just we have a beam going out in the horizontal, but a beam going out in the vertical too, to kind of determine what's actually happening inside the storm. So some really cool radar features there that can give us an extra heads up, advance warning, all of the above. But we're still watching for tornado warned cells. 3 of those have a confirmed tornado on it. All right, Vicksburg, we are up next. And if you are just joining us, welcome. I wish that we were talking under better circumstances tonight, because we've at least had 2 or 3 extremely destructive tornadoes, maybe more. All right, so we were talking about that tornado. The Weather Service is going to cancel the tornado warning of that really ugly one up here. So just got the word on the chat that they are going to cancel that one up in here. We were talking about it moving into that environment. That is a good thing. So some good news here. And I mean, again, I would venture to believe that while we do have severe thunderstorm warnings in Jasper, Alabama, north of Birmingham, I'd rather have this junk. We're going to have to watch for some flooding, but I would rather have this junk than discrete supercells right now with this environment. So that's good. We want that to blob out. So that one's going to be canceled, and it was. Now that it's now a severe thunderstorm warning, still damaging potentially, but we're not talking about the likelihood of that tornado on the ground. All right, great question. Why are all the tornadoes mainly upstate? So what we have going on here, and if I had a weather map drawn up, is basically where we have the highest overlay here of the instability to get the storms going, and then also the wind shear. So we have that cold front coming down out of here, kind of. We have the warm, moist air surging up, and as that is happening, in between you have all that lift of getting those storms going up. And then this is where the best mixture of the instability is, along with that turning of the wind with height. So we don't have as much wind. We have, I always like to describe it as like making a cake. To make a cake, you need the eggs, the milk, the sugar. What else goes in a cake? All those ingredients. But if you don't have everything, the cake's not going to taste right. So it's the same kind of deal when you're talking about a severe weather setup. Down here, we have the instability with the Gulf of Mexico there. Up here, we have a ton of wind shear, and it's like right in here, that's where we have the highest overlay to get the storms up and then to spin. So that's where, and that is why, again, Storm Prediction Center did a heck of a job. Again, unfortunately, and stuff. All right, hey, Columbus, where? All right, so we are done in Columbus, Mississippi. Let me get you back to Columbus. We were just watching that cell. Now that is past you, there was a very nasty tornado that moved through north of Columbus. We can put that back kind of a few more frames. We'll go back to show you the progression of this. And it's the radar map is loading the loop. Let me go back another frame. I'll go back 30 frames and I'll show you. Here is Columbus. And then you see the debris ball pop up here. So it moved kind of like right in through that area, if that helps. So on the north side of Columbus, if you are familiar with that area, if you have friends or family there, that's where it went. So the severe stuff is likely going to be held. I don't think it's, at least the tornadic stuff, I think now is going to be held. So here is Tennessee up in here. Here's Nashville, way up at the top of your screen. Chattanooga. Memphis is over here. I think now the severe stuff is going to be from like south of Tuscaloosa, now south of Columbus, south of Yazoo City, and then south of Shreveport. So I think the severe threat is now migrating like over into this area, with like the worst of it happening basically where we see it. Like the main event is now pretty much. And I do think up here we can certainly have isolated severe, but I don't think we're going to be dealing with the stuff that we're seeing and we have seen over the past couple of hours in places like Tennessee. So I'm not exactly sure if you're tuning in from Columbus. Our severe threat will be wrapping up. But there is, like, back towards Little Rock, we have some thunderstorms, but notice how they're not in that kidney bean shape, but they're not discrete, they're not isolated. So while they can still be damaging, and certainly the environment is there for these storms to be damaging, even if there's quote unquote just a severe thunderstorm warning, I mean, those need to be taken seriously too. But we just got to watch, again, one more line. So Columbus, we're not completely done. I think from the tornadic threat, that is going to be winding down for Columbus, but we'll have another line of thunderstorms come through late tonight and overnight. So that's what we'll have to watch for. But I do think the tornado threat is on the lower side now for Columbus. So here's that cell that we were watching south of Starkville. Let's go inspect that. Yeah, so this is ugly, okay? This is radar indicated. But I don't like that. That is a tornado vortex signature. Let's check to make sure that we don't have any. Yeah, that looks like it's just a little bit of noise there from the radar. From this, I don't think Ohio is going to get. They're not going to get severe stuff. They are going to get a nice batch of cold into Ohio behind this system. But the severe stuff is not going to come to Ohio. All right, so it looks like now. All right, so Vicksburg, what's going on? We were talking about you, and we've been highlighting you all night. Now we are in a tornado warning in Vicksburg. So we were watching that storm. We were talking about that we would have likely a tornado warning. Now the Weather Service has issued that tornado warning in Vicksburg on the west side of town. You never like to see this little donut hole. How you see like the red color around and then that little thing right in there. Never like to see that. This is where we did have the confirmation of a tornado on the ground. Let's check the velocity. It's still hard to see. It's still too far up. We needed to get a little closer to the Jackson, Mississippi radar, or Brandon, Mississippi radar, where the actual site is at. Just going to look over at the chat. Jackson, also West Winston, just west of McMillan. Tornado debris signature just occurred. And that so while I am looking up, I'm just looking up some more details in the chat. I'm going to turn on the regular reflectivity now so we can get a broad area here. Let's look at what is going on. If you're just joining the chat, I would love to know where you're tuning in from. You can post that in the comments as we kind of break down this tornado outbreak here that has occurred. We have several tornadoes on the ground if you were just joining us. And looks like we have radar indicated. So this one's really getting into rain. This one probably not going to survive much longer, thankfully, as once it gets into the that rain cooled environment. They don't like that, and that's a good thing. We like that. The tornadoes don't and the supercells don't. So hopefully that goes down quick. So just see. Oh, way north of Missouri. Okay, so these are not going to come towards you. So you are going to be in the clear. Yeah, so you'll thankfully miss out on this outbreak of severe thunderstorms. So that's good at least. All right, so hopefully we're going to wait and see. They trim that warning back. I think all things considered, it's looking better. We'll change the radar to get a perspective. This is also kind of in a radar dead zone. Yeah, that's still a very ugly looking, again, towards the radar. Excuse me. Away from the radar, towards the radar. There's your spin. Sorry for my crazy illustration there. All right, so they just continued that tornado warning there. Just every now and then, going to look over to the National Weather Service chat, have the direct line with them. Got a warning on your phone earlier today. Certainly earlier there was some stuff around. You'd be done now. You would be done with just... Go check on where the cold front actually is here. So yeah, this is a cool thing I'll show you here. So this is the overall. This is going to be the overall kind of view with this. So here is our cold front. Our cold front, my circle. You can clearly see where that is. So this is what's generating everything. So, I mean, we're definitely done with the severe weather in Missouri, especially like Kansas City. It's already at 32 degrees. And you can see here, I mean, this tells the story of why we're getting this severe weather outbreak. I mean, look how cold it is up here. I mean, you're talking 17 in Rapid City, 16 in Bismarck, 23 in St. Paul, and then you're at 70 in Jackson, Mississippi right now. And you can just see, again, the divide between St. Louis. If you go from St. Louis, Missouri to Kansas City, Missouri, you're dropping almost 30 degrees by the time you get there. So this front means business. And again, it's the clash of this warm air. You see the wind out of the south there. And then up top, you have the wind out of the west. And that is why we're getting this tornado outbreak today. So that really tells the story. So yeah, you are completely done with the severe weather in Missouri. Because our cold front now, I don't know what part of Missouri that you're in, but I mean, you're going to get really, really chilly in a little bit, depending upon where you are. The front is like pretty much right in St. Louis and then extends back towards Oklahoma City. And then that batch of cold is extending, I mean, crazy cold. Missouri-Arkansas border. Okay, so that makes more sense. Yeah, we were definitely under the gun for severe weather. The southeast part of Arkansas, Missouri, and into Arkansas, 100% were under. So you definitely, yes. So there was some nasty weather there this morning. That helps out a lot, knowing exactly where you were. So it'll start to turn colder for you in a little bit. Whoops, too far out. That was weird. So yeah, you're about to get really cold. We'll turn on the wind. And yeah, there's the wind. So also picking up as that front comes through. So yeah, and that often happens whenever you get these fronts come through. You have high pressure hanging back. You still have the low pressure where the storms are. And that difference in temperature, difference in pressure are the reasons why that we still get that wind cranked up post the storms. So that's going to be something that we continue on probably through evening as that colder air rushes in. All right, so now that we have recharged, let's take a look at where we stand here. If you are just joining us, welcome. We've been talking, almost for the last 2 hours now. I know a lot of you guys have been on with me here for the entirety of the 2 hours, so I appreciate you tuning in. It's been awesome getting to know you guys. I wish it was under different circumstances, but I'm glad that everybody's taking this seriously, and I'm glad that people are staying safe. I know we had some people tuning in from Starkville earlier this morning where we did have a tornado go through the north side of town, and I'm hoping that they were okay. I know that they said that they were in their bunker area, safe shelter. So hopefully that worked. I mean, that just goes to show how serious the situation was and still is. I think the main ones that we are still watching here, let me just look at tropical question while I'm cycling, or while I'm going through. I don't think so. I don't think so anymore. I did thought that think that there would be a chance last weekend, the small chance in the extreme southwestern Caribbean, but I think it's all going to stay congealed in the intertropical convergence zone. It's certainly something to watch. I think the environment forgot it was in a La Nina year until we got into September, and then, as you know, the Atlantic went gangbusters. Thankfully, it wasn't busy from the entire start, but I mean, you know it. In Florida, I mean, it's the thing that it only takes one, and we got two. And obviously, Ian was a complete powerhouse, and Nicole just completely devastated the East Coast because of its size. And, I mean, I don't know if this season highlights it any better that it only takes one, and it doesn't matter how the season starts, because I mean it was crazy quiet, and I mean, we were kind of scared about that. But hey, thanks for staying with us. I appreciate you coming back. We appreciate you. All right, so here's the deal. They just extended that tornado warning into Columbus. Okay, so we were talking about that. I thought that we were going to be done in Columbus. The tornado warning does include us because of this cell here now kind of moving, should stay on the southern side. So we had the one tornado. I mean, busy night for them. They were under a tornado warning about an hour ago, and then now back under a tornado warning for the southern side of town. So we're going to change radar. We're going to inspect this now that it's getting closer. I don't think that this is, so it's not observed. Yeah, but still ugly. So here's what we have going on here. We have winds away and toward. Also, I know we kind of talked about this, but I'm glad that you do have a way to get warnings. That's a thumbs up. If you're watching and you don't have your local news app, I would encourage you to download that, the weather app especially, because a lot of those give you warnings kind of geolocated to where you are, and that's the best way to do it. Or have a NOAA weather radio. That works very good as well for when you don't have power. Okay, so we're going to be watching that cell closely. We're going to go back down to Jackson, Mississippi. Okay, so nope, I'm just going to say good news there, but there it is. There is the tornado vortex signature near Beatrice, toward and away. Not seeing any debris signature there. This looks like it could be cycling and going through. I think that there were there were at least, let me think. We just had 3 cells produce tornadoes, and I mean that was just in the last 30 minutes. So I think we've at least had 3. And I think probably, well, actually 4, because we had the one when we got on at about 6 o'clock tonight. We had that one that was just confirmed. So I know that there's been 4 confirmed or observed tornadoes. And we'll have to wait and see when the National Weather Service goes out. After this event ends, they will go out, survey the damage, not only confirm how many tornadoes touched down, but how strong they were as well. So unless you're referring to, you could be referring to the, you may be referring to the tropical systems that impacted Florida. And if you do, I apologize. So if you want to clarify that, I'm sorry about that. I'm in this tornado mode, not tropical tornado mode. So I apologize for that. All right. So while I'm waiting for clarification on that, we're going to go check in on Vicksburg. We are on the western end of this tornado warned storm. It's getting a little closer to, Vicksburg now. It's not looking as healthy as it was. It now has a radar indicated tag. It's producing $half size hail, though. So that will do damage. So we're going to watch that. Again, this one did have a, yeah, so there it is. You asked about the purple color. There's purple. There's purple. That is some really big hail. I mentioned about the correlation coefficient mode to look at debris. We can also look at that to determine if there's some pretty big hail in there, and we, in fact, have that. So crazy stuff going on there. Let's see. Turn the regular radar back on. So things are starting to get a little quieter in Louisiana. So I think our severe threat there is winding down. Heading back over to Stonewall and Enterprise. It does look very disorganized over there. So I'm very hopeful, at least for that part. Again, the threat's going to continue for Mississippi. And then back into Columbus. So we're watching these three. I'm hopeful that once we get rid of these three storms, like things start to pipe down a little bit. Just kind of looking here. Okay, yeah, so just some of the Weather Service meteorologists out of Shreveport were saying the same thing that we were doing about, like, the environment looks better and better as a positive, that these storms are a little more elevated, so they're not surface-based. Things are winding down now in Louisiana. So that is good. And again, up here, let's inspect this guy up here. This is completely rain wrapped. So it's night. It's rain wrapped. Don't go outside to try to see this. We are still seeing the extreme velocity here. So yeah, just kind of inspecting that. I mean, look at that, like inbound negative 87 miles an hour. So that's the air coming in this direction. And then it's a little bit weaker on the other side. So some crazy strong winds in addition to the tornado potential with that storm right there. Just nuts. All right. I see that we have some new people joining the stream here. Let me know where you are watching from. Post that in the comments. That would help us out. Certainly if you're watching from Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, I would love to know that for sure, because then we can kind of track where these are coming towards you and all that stuff. Yeah. That is like tropical storm force winds. So you have that, and that's coming inbound. That was within the couple within the rotation of the thunder, or of the mesocyclone, where the potential tornado could sit. So that's some strong stuff. This is really ugly here. So we should be getting a better look now at, and we are getting a better look at the storm now in west of Vicksburg. And it's definitely, I mean, this is where we did have a confirmed tornado on this cell. What was that, 30, 40 minutes ago? So it doesn't look as healthy, and it's certainly not confirmed anymore. It could produce one, though, and that is why there's a tornado warning. It's not just about that there's one in progress. When a tornado warning is issued, again, you want to make sure, it's there, because there's also the potential, like that it's imminent. Sometimes they don't form, but again, it's there because the environment is good and good for the storm, and it could drop one at any time. And certainly the environment is very, very healthy. We're going to take a look towards Stonewall again. Let me change radars. I think we might be on the right one. And if so, we still have that tornado vortex signature here. air going away, air going towards. So Watabi and Stonewall Enterprise, we were talking about you earlier. We're going to have to watch out for that. So overall, I'm getting a little more encouraged. Okay, so it looks like they just expired the tornado warning for Winston. I believe that is this one here. Yep, so that's that one because it has moved out of the area. So we have the active tornado warning here. Yeah, this one's still very ugly. So this is a completely rain-wrapped tornado. So when we talk about rain-wrapped, I mean, there's rain around the whole thing. All right, so this is when guard back up. This storm here is, there's your hook. It's embedded in that rain. And I mean, the velocity and signature has just been not good for a while now. So again, if you know anybody, Crawford, Columbus, we are in that tornado warning. I think this is going to, let me look at the, keep on switching the modes here so we can kind of inspect this in real time. And again, if you want to look at it, I know we have, if you're tracking this alongside me, if you want to look at a specific cell, please let me know. Post that in the comments. We can go take a look. We can go check it out on other areas. We can go do that. Let's see here. Just reading some of the ongoing chat speak in the National Weather Service chat. Just to see what they are thinking, and yeah, and everything's going along the lines of what we've been tracking together here for this event. So there you go. Nasty storm there. This is going to move south of Columbus. Let me turn my frames a little bit down further. We're going to put this into motion just to kind of see. This should drift south of Columbus and then right over the Alabama line. I wouldn't think that this could hold together very long because of it's surrounded by rain on almost all sides. The cell is not just the tornado, and it would be pulling in all of this rain-cooled air. So I think, I mean, we're going to watch that closely, of course. Let's go back down. We just looked at this a few minutes ago, but let's check in on it again. This is the Jasper Stonewall cell. It still has that ugly look. It still has that concerning look. Some purples there. Again, a very healthy hail core still. And yeah, I mean, this is no doubt, I think, the healthiest storm that we have out there right now. in and around Stonewall. This warning goes for another 30 minutes. So about 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central. Hey, Matthew, what's going on? No, it does not look good. I'm not sure where you were tuning in from, but watching 3 very nasty cells moving through mostly Mississippi. At this time, we had ugly stuff move through parts of Missouri and into Arkansas, Louisiana. We have 1 cell in Louisiana. Yeah, the worst case scenario you can get here is night, rain wrapped, obviously on the ground. So those are the 2 things. It looks like the one near Stonewall isn't rain wrapped, but it's nighttime. We'll inspect that one a little further here. Velocity. Yeah, that's nasty. This is very, very a strong tornado vortex signature with this storm, with this particular cell. Again, this one's moving up. Debris signature, all of that stuff. So just some crazy stuff. I'm just gonna kind of go through. So, and here's the one that you were talking about. I'm gonna switch the radar here. Go back to. So, a new storm report coming in near Woodlawn, Lowndes County. We were on that storm before. Steeple knocked off a church there. That was at about 6:30. So that was the first confirmed tornado we jumped on live. So let me see. This is the one to the west of Vicksburg where you mentioned about the tornado debris signature. So, and that's what he's referring to about the tornado debris signature. It could just be a little bit of noise. Let me highlight that. Yeah, it might just be, I don't know. I think it might just, I think because of where it was going through, yeah, I don't think that was a debris signature. Because it's not the right spot for it. So it was just a little bit of noise coming through. Wouldn't be hail either, but I do think like all this stuff back here, I think is because of this big hail core in that storm. But there was a confirmed tornado with that about 30 minutes ago. Let me get all this junk off of here. We have a pretty good sight from the Jackson, Mississippi radar now. I'd still like it to be a little closer to be able to inspect it further. And say that'd also be pretty high. That would have to be a really, really strong tornado to loft debris up that far away from the radar. But I'm gonna put it back into motion. Yeah, so the tornado would have tracked like this, and where we had the debris signatures right here. So it was definitely it was away from where the center was. So it was definitely just some radar noise, at least in there. It could have been. There was a nice little, yeah, you see that purple there. So it may have been a little bit of a hail core. So yeah, I'd be more on the hail core side, or at least hail in general. The core is a little bit further to the north and east. All right, so let's see where we stand. We're going to go back up to the Columbus, Mississippi cell. This is the one that's completely wrapped in rain. Let's see. Still not observed, thankfully, but we have that is a very tight couplet. Let's look at the information here. Yeah, that's I mean, clearly a tornado, that's what the TVS is. The radar technology saying it's a tornado vortex signature. We can clearly see that. Again, anytime you see a couplet that tight, again, that is away, that is toward, that is a very, very strong tornado vortex signature. I want to see if they're saying anything about that. It does not look like there's a storm chaser on that one, from what I can tell, at least from the chat, to see if there's anything on there. Let me head back over. I'm just every now and then I'm just going to look over, look at the chat. But this one is certainly this is likely going to pass south of Columbus, and again, especially these rain-wrapped ones, they have a tendency to kind of jog a little further this way once they kind of cycle. Your typical tornado moves in that fashion. That's why we have the warning extending into Columbus. But Brooksville, Crawford. In Crawford, we're getting at least very strong winds at the very, very least. But again, let me. Going to turn on the lightning detection. We can see again, that's an indicator. When you start to see more lightning or less lightning, it's an indication of the storm getting stronger or weaker as well. So that's going to help us out. We have a lot of lightning. These are the strikes in the last few minutes. Just looking at some other tools. Man, that is a ugly hail core on this guy over here in southeastern Mississippi. We're gonna go check out on that. So this one will show you. Let me turn the reflectivity on this one. This is an ugly hail core. Look at all that purple. It's a very big hail core, so like Giff, Williams, Pleasant Hill, heading in that direction. So we're going to watch this right here, this little thing that's forming outside of the warned area. So some weird stuff here. It looks like it's trying to broaden out. Okay, so some good stuff there. It looks like the cell near Columbus is starting to fall apart. Awesome. Hey, man, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. Enjoy, be safe. Enjoy the cooler weather coming on Thursday. All right, so now we're going to just go through. There's 3 active tornado warnings in play. Going through this. probably won't stream tomorrow, but I'm going to try to put out either a video or a short or something, or at least a post in the community. I'll for sure have a post in the community page on the channel about the official storm reports that come out. So look for that. So at the very least, I will have that. And then I'll try to get out either another weather update in addition to that. But certainly a post in the community page will be coming on the official tornado reports that we kind of track together tonight. So look out for that in the community post. So I'll have that at the very least. So back to the southeast, this cell here, man, the hail core is insane. That's why we have a lot of the lightning too. Take it easy, man. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you. All right. So this cell south of Stonewall, we're going to check. I mean, the good news is, let me make sure I'm on the correct radar. I don't think I am. I want to be out of Jackson. So that's the closest radar. So we're going to inspect that to see what's going on. Here we go. High-res reflectivity, velocity going through. There's still some, it's still rotating. This is a supercell. There's the rotation. And some of the large hail. The hail's the biggest threat. My goodness, that hail has got to be huge. So let's see what the radar thinks. What the radar is estimating this hail to be. That's ping pong size hail, golf ball size hail in that ballpark. But man, that is crazy. We're gonna look at the correlation coefficient. A lot of crazy hail there. Yeah, and we're seeing this. So this spike here, that is an indication that we have like ridiculous hail there. Like maybe call that a scatter spike there. And like that, the radar does that when the hail is like super, super crazy big. So we are seeing that this hail here is, or that storm here is cranking out some big hail. Let's see what, if we've got some, it's only saying quarter size hail. I bet you that the hail is larger than quarters. In that storm, I would bet you that is, I mean, we are seeing high up, so there might be some melting there. The beam is seeing pretty high, but I would bet you that there's hail bigger than quarters in that. Probably more like golf balls. All right, so still those 3 tornadoes out there. Or 3 tornado warnings. The one, Columbus, we're still dealing with. So that's still ugly. Looks like you might have a debris signature trying to form. So this one might still be on the ground. That one, that tornado warning is going to expire in the next few minutes as well. We're probably going to ride on this for another couple of minutes. And then again, we'll be following this in the community page. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in. And if you like tracking the weather, we'd love to have you on board too in this weather community. We talk and track. It's a place that we have a lot of fun tracking the weather when it's not destructive like this. I want to be clear about that too. But this is just an ugly night. We know that there has been a lot of destruction, a lot of destructive tornadoes, at least 4 of them, likely more. We'll get that official count over the next few days as the Weather Service gets out and does their surveys. But still, here we're looking at the potential for a tornado to be on the ground. For all the new people just tuning in, welcome. I would love to know where you are watching from this morning, or this evening, I should say. So if you could post that in the comments, that would be appreciated. And if you give this a like, that would be appreciated as well. That'll be sent out to more people, so that more people can see this as we are tracking this severe weather outbreak, this tornado outbreak. The main thing that we've been watching now is the overall coverage of the tornadoes has gone down a little bit, but there are still 3 tornado-warned storms in question here that we are watching. And we may have one on the ground here, southwest of Columbus, Mississippi. The tornado vortex signature is strong, and that's right here. So right and around Penns. This is going to ride up on the south side of Columbus. So again, if you know of anybody in Columbus, if you have friends or family in Columbus, please let them know. Please give them a heads up. I am sure that they do know. I'm sure that they had the bells and whistles go off on their phone. I hope that they are watching the local news or a live stream like this. Feel free to send that to them. And again, if you give this a like, YouTube pushes this out to more people so they can see what's going on. So I would appreciate that. But a very concerning situation south of Columbus. So we are going to watch this as this kind of cycles through. Okay, so I'm looking at the latest National Weather Service chat room. Have a direct line with them and with emergency management from that area. We're looking for. Okay, look at that. Did you see that? That's great stuff. That's great news. I don't know if you just kind of saw that I had the blue on there, but I'm gonna take this back up. But we were just talking about that strong tornado vortex signature. All of a sudden, fell apart. So again. Now we get an encouraging radar scan. We get these scans every few minutes. Now we have to wait to see, okay, is this a trend? Or is this the end of this particular supercell's life? Columbus already got nailed by some heavy weather, some stronger thunderstorms, so the environment is not as right for these storms to take advantage of any longer. So that is good news. And again, we just saw that thing utterly. I mean, that is like... hit the wall. That is great. I mean, it rapidly fell apart. Don't let your guard down. And if you're in Columbus, okay, we need to wait to see if this is going to be a trend or if this is just a little blip and then it cycles back up. Okay, so make sure we're all with me on that. No, not letting your guard down in Columbus. As we zoom things back out, let's go check up on our other storms here. We're going to do one last check on these. Sorry, I'm trying to bring your chat up. I don't know if you mean YouTube chat or if you mean the National Weather Service chat, because it's yes to both. It is yes to both. So I actively look at all of that stuff. All right, I'm going to check up on these. All of these continue to remain radar indicated. So that is good that we are losing those. I just want to check up on the Jackson, Mississippi radar real quick to take a look at the cell near Vicksburg and the cell near Hattiesburg. And then... I think we're going to wind this part down a little bit. Yes. So that's what I thought it's some kind of contamination from that thing. I think you're talking about that one that we were looking at earlier where somebody mentioned that it was a tornado debris signature, but it wasn't in the right spot for it to be a tornado in the tornado debris signature. So yes, it was likely what you mentioned there, a side load contamination, some kind of contamination. There was a lot of hail in there, and that happens out a lot for sure. So no, absolutely. Thank you for that insight as well. You got it. Thank you for finding the channel. Thank you for joining us on the live stream. Please stay safe out there. I hope everybody is staying safe there. As you mentioned, side lobe competition, side lobe contamination. That's why it's important to have a very, very good source. New tornado watch until 11. I'm sorry, what part again were you watching? Forgive me, I can't remember what part again. If you were on the Alabama side, so forgive me for that. Hattiesburg. I'm sorry about that. I apologize. So until 11. So that's going to run a couple more hours. Sorry about that. I couldn't remember. There were so many people tuning in about that. I appreciate that. So yeah, that makes sense. We're still in that kind of environment. We're going to watch this stuff. The good news is, at least for Hattiesburg, is that this stuff out to your west has not materialized. Been watching that, and it's staying relatively weak. Now, that doesn't mean that it can't ramp up quick. But so that is going to be something that we'll watch going forward. So that's going to be it. That'll be the last push. But I'm encouraged that this stuff hasn't really gotten any bigger. So, again, all about the trends here, watching that. But I like what I'm seeing at the moment. As they say, cautiously optimistic. But, of course, with us still being in that tornado watch and the new one being issued again, the conditions are still favorable for tornadic development. I do think it's a little less likely where we are here. But what's going to happen over the next couple of hours, or something known as the low-level jet. So that happens at night. A lot of times you get right above the surface, you get an influx of some strong winds that pop out of the south or out of the south and east. And that can help to invigorate the storms again. So that is why we'll need to be, again, under watch or to pay close attention for the next couple of hours until that watch expires. Back in Louisiana, we have the all clear. So especially like out Shreveport, Alexandria, we're looking good. I think it's important to talk about the all clear so you're not, still worried there. We're going to go inspect this Columbus cell real quick. One more time. Just to see, again, watching the trend versus loving that. It didn't come back. We're seeing the wind go in one direction. Again, still strong winds. Still strong winds, but certainly in one direction. As we have completely watched that. Yeah. No, it's incredible. We went from having a damaging tornado on the ground to like literally just being a downpour like that. Watch what happened. We'll take this back a couple of frames here, 14 frames. Put that into motion. I mean, we had a raging cell, and if I turn on the velocity and do the same thing, you can really see this storm's death. I mean, we were cranking this out. Might have to even go back 21 frames. So let me go back. I mean, right here, look at this. This is what it was. A strong tornado vortex signature. That was at 8:29. So about 20 to 30 minutes ago, 25 minutes ago. And then look at it. Still raging, still raging, still raging, done. So great news. That's something that we were talking about for Columbus. And that's one of the reasons why I said that, I mean, even though we were in a tornado warning in Columbus, that our severe weather threat was drastically lower because we had those storms roll through Columbus earlier. And all that rain cooled air was just sitting there. And that is why we had that, I mean, very dramatic collapse of that storm. So that's what I like to watch on radar, especially when they're going towards the city. I like to see those things drastically come down. So some good news there with Columbus. That cell is no longer a problem, no longer of concern. So let's go back to the Jackson, Mississippi radar. We now have 2 cells. So now these are dropping like flies. Again, that's what we like to see here. We're going to take a look at this cell here near Meridian. This is the southeast of Meridian. Looking at weather service chat real quick just to make sure any reports coming in. This is going to be now on the Alabama, on the Mississippi line. That tornado warning was extended into Alabama. This is the one that we have been watching well to the north of Hattiesburg. I mean, again, not even close to Hattiesburg, but it's been tracking around this area all evening. Let me take it down a little closer, and we're going to inspect this. So we need to go to a different radar site. We're going to go out of the Birmingham radar. We're still pretty far away. Yeah, so I mean, this is one of those radar dead zones. You see these lines here, that's pretty much at the edge of the Birmingham radar. Probably better out of the Jackson radar. But still, I mean, we are literally the worst possible area to inspect a supercell thunderstorm is where we are at right now. So let me go down. So again, yeah, this is good news. Good news for Columbus, Mississippi. Still, though, I want you in Hattiesburg to make sure if you're getting ready to go to bed over the next hour or so, still make sure that you have your phone on or a way to get your alerts just in case one of these spins up. But I like what I see. Let me go down to the New Orleans radar. That'll give us a... So yeah, I still want to be mindful of like watching those ones over there that are coming out of the areas like west of New Orleans. And that'll slide up towards us in Hattiesburg. If these will be the ones to watch because they're kind of moving in that direction, still under the influence of that low-level jet. Okay, so please don't get me wrong. I don't want to give a false sense of calm or a false sense of security in Hattiesburg. I like that these are kind of firing up together because it does present a little less of a chance to produce those tornadoes when they are discrete like that, or they're not discrete like that. So let's see. So I wanted to turn on where the watch is just to give like an overview again, and all those yellow outline there, that yellow outline, that's where the tornado watch is. And I'm glad you are. That makes me happy that people are learning things tonight too, as well as staying safe. So there again, as you mentioned before, that new tornado watch. Yeah, and I mean they use the word may persist too in the official. So I mean again, it's certainly So yeah, and that's again to make sure the difference between watch and warning. Watch, again, conditions are favorable. Warning is that's whenever you take action. So the watch is we're watching. Conditions are favorable. Warning is that something is occurring or is imminent. I think that are you referring to the one that's on the Alabama Mississippi line? We're gonna go take a look at that. I'm just gonna turn the watches back off again. Not the storm reports. Actually, I'm going to turn on the storm reports, and I'm going to turn off the watches real quick. So bear with me real quick. All right, so all of those little triangles on your screen, all those red triangles, that is a tornado report. So that was earlier. So that was in Caldwell Parish. There's the structural damage here. There was from the confirmed tornado before. That's where the tornado storm chaser reported that in Louisiana. That was the one that was west of Vicksburg that we were watching. So there was the tornado. I mean, again, we had the potential for that lobe contamination, but there was a tornado spotted there. So I still don't think when we were looking over Tallua, that was a tornado debris signature, though. Because the tornado came up, it was moving like this, and that debris signature was over here. So let me back this up again, right by Stonewell and Cromwell. All right, so we just have, not just, because these are ugly storms. Let me... Yeah, so this one's just so hard to kind of inspect. It's going to be moving closer to the Birmingham radar soon. Let's check. I mean, largely out in the Birmingham area, at least southwest of Birmingham. I mean, this part of the environment's a little untapped, like west of Montgomery and here. So we're going to have to watch that to see if it does get into that at all. So we're going to watch that close. Okay, so I like what I'm seeing there. So it looks like there's no reports of a tornado there. Just what I'm seeing, no reports out of that cell that we're watching. That's kind of like in that radar dead zone there. More of the tornado reports. So there's the one southwest of. We were on this one earlier. I remember we were talking about Hattiesburg. So this is the other confirmed tornado that we were tracking live here on this channel a couple of hours ago in Marion County. That was to the west of Hattiesburg. And again, these were kind of going up and go. So the Weather Service is going to be busy over the next couple of days confirming these tornado, but several powers down, damage to homes. That's a tornado report. In Stringer, Mississippi, Jasper County, we were watching that one. Bassfield, this one, yeah. So this was the bad one. One of the really, really nasty ones. In Bassfield, we had the huge tornado debris signature on this one. This was going to be the ugly one. One of at least two very big tornadoes. This is the one the storm chaser was recorded a large wedge tornado tracking through power flashes. That was in Jefferson County, so we're going to watch to see what comes out of that one, but obviously a wedge is never good. No, some good advice as well. we'll be thinking and praying about everybody in Mississippi. A lot of disastrous weather recently, of course, with a couple of hurricanes in Florida, and now this tornado outbreak here. All right, emergency manager, we had a tornado report or confirmed tornado there. This is the one, I think this is up by, yeah, that was on the north side of Columbus. So this is going to be, see, this was the really ugly one with the, that big, not only tornado debris signature that we were tracking, but the lavender debris ball. And I hope everybody's okay here, but the emergency manager reported property damage and people entrapped in Malone's grocery. So this is one of those things where, you know, on a day like today that I would tell people to make sure that you're not in a department store or anything like that. It's very rare that I would say that, you know, to people watching. But it's a day when you're in these moderate risk areas, like when you're in like an enhanced moderate or, God forbid, high risk area, that you don't want to be out in like a department store or something that has like or a warehouse or something, because you see this happen all the time. And it's and I know that, you know, a lot of times you're not going to get hit by a tornado. I mean, there's a very large area and the tornado's not that big in all things considered. But you got to be prepared and you got to take action like that. So I'm just hoping that those people are okay. Damage to home confirmed from radar confirmed tornado. In Choctaw, we were watching that before. I'm not sure if the gentleman was still on that was talking about Choctaw. I think he got off. But some downed trees on the home. Looks like the Columbus news station there also had damage from a confirmed tornado. Hopefully they are okay. Carmack, Mississippi. So there are a ton of confirmed tornadoes tonight. And we know of the one, I think the two big ones are going to be near Bassfield of the event and then north of Columbus. I think those are the two big ones. All right, so we're going to go back north of Vicksburg here. Let's check to see how these storms are behaving. This certainly has that supercell look. It's a supercell thunderstorm. Let's go back into the velocity mode. And yeah, we still have that tornado vortex signature right here. Oh, there we go. It just updated right in there. So every time the radar updates, you got to redo the scan, recheck it out. Radar indicated this is expiring in about 30 minutes. Let me go. I'm going to look at and welcome to all the new people finding the channel tonight. Appreciate you tuning in and watching, and I hope you are all staying safe if you are watching from the Alabama area or Mississippi, previously Louisiana, Arkansas, Missouri, where we had the severe weather earlier today. It looks like now we're going to have this cell moving. Let's check it out from the Birmingham radar. This cell is now moving out of Mississippi. It's not looking too terribly healthy, which is good. But that tornado warning is going to continue for us into Alabama, for Choctaw County and Alabama, for the potential for that tornado to develop and all of that stuff. Going to look. Okay, continues radar indicated tornado for, this is going to, for Warren and Yazoo, Mississippi. So Yazoo, we are back under this. We had one earlier in Yazoo City. back under the gun, and that's going to be for this one right here that we just looked at. I think right now, anyway, that is the most concerning cell left at this time of the evening. All right. So we have those two tornado warnings there. All in all, I think, at least where we don't have the tornado warnings, I think that's positive back here that we have things kind of in a line a little bit better. Okay, I like that. That there's nothing severe in this lineup by Philadelphia, Mississippi. And all this stuff up here is linear as well, near Greenville, Arkansas. So, okay, so we're really just watching those two cells at this time. So some positive, relatively speaking anyway, some positive stuff right there. Before I let you guys go, I want to show you one last time the watches that are in effect. So again, while I'm talking about the positive, like to be positive, it's a serious situation, but again, we're just looking at the radar trends, the environment trends here to give you guys the best information, but we are still under a tornado watch in western Alabama. This is going to go until 11 o'clock Central Time. Okay, so about 3 more hours. So we are almost done, okay? So just hang in there for a little while longer. That tornado watch just across the border goes until 11 for our friend in Hattiesburg, as he mentioned earlier. And we have one until 2 o'clock in the morning. And this is that, I would imagine that this watch comes down soon. This is the PDS watch, the particularly dangerous situation watch. And for those that don't know what that is the designation from the National Weather Service. They can issue a PDS watch, as they call it, for that particularly dangerous situation. And that's where those long track tornadoes, the potentially violent tornadoes, that is that heightened up, that the environment is juiced for that high end severe weather event. And it is that particularly dangerous situation. That part of the event, I think, in that area of northeastern Louisiana is over. I assume that the Weather Service will cancel that watch gradually in the short term here. What I would say, I was talking about this earlier, and then I'll let you guys go. If you are ever finding yourself in a particularly dangerous situation, severe thunderstorm watch, or a particularly dangerous situation, tornado watch, that is something that you need to alter your plans. Like, you just need to stay at home. You just need to not go out, and you just need to park it and find your favorite meteorologist, weather outlet, and watch the event unfold. And all of that stuff. So, all of that. So, those are the kind of things to alter your plans. Hey, I appreciate you finding us. Thank you so much. Please stay safe, and I'm glad they're going to keep the phone on and keep watching for the next couple of hours. As you mentioned, just a couple of more hours to go, and you'll be through that. So thank you. I appreciate you finding us, and I appreciate the support, and I'll be praying for you guys in all of Mississippi, Alabama, and Louisiana tonight. So thank you for finding us and for tuning in. I appreciate you, and I appreciate everybody. And again, please be safe. Again, we're watching the severe weather coverage of this tornado outbreak unfold live. We are, looks like, on the more encouraging side. We still have 2 active tornado warnings that we are watching. We're going to end the live stream here and continue to watch this on the community page. I'm going to have updates on the latest reports now following this severe weather outbreak and this tornado outbreak tomorrow for you. And again, we track and talk all things weather on this channel together. If you are a fan of tracking the weather or just wanting to be informed about the weather, we would love to have you in this weather community. Please give this video a like. It will give some vital weather information out. YouTube will send this out to more people. And of course, if you hit the subscribe button, you'll get all of the videos that we produce. We do shorts on some interesting weather stuff. And of course, some of the long form things on some of the bigger weather events happening across the country. Hurricane season, certainly we do that. And then the winter storm season, severe weather season ramping up in the deep south, of course. And then in the northern tier of the country where some colder air is getting ready to spill back in. So we would love to have you as I ramble on here in this weather community. I love knowing what's going on across the country where you are. So please consider subscribing and supporting us and hitting that like and subscribe button, and we will catch you next time. Please, if you're watching from Mississippi and Alabama, please stay safe and make sure that you have a way to get your warnings before you go to bed tonight. Download your local news or weather app. That's the best way to do it, or NOAA Weather Radio, of course. I appreciate you tuning in. Seriously. No, I love having the conversation. I feel that's what makes our channel a little bit different than else, because I love having that conversation, because I don't like just talking to a screen. I like talking to everybody out there. And I like getting that feedback of what you guys are seeing out there, or like you mentioned about the lobe there, because it's hard to be on every single storm at once. So to kind of go back and be like, okay, yeah, we see that over here. So what you see is vital, and what you are tracking out there and what you are seeing in real time, while we're kind of behind the computers, kind of tracking from a radar perspective. I love getting that. So no, thank you. Appreciate that as well. And I appreciate you contributing to the chat as well. Alrighty, guys. It's like a Midwestern goodbye there. I said I was going to leave like 3 times and keep on talking, but you guys keep on putting some good stuff in the chat, so it's your fault. Just kidding, of course. Thank you guys a ton. I really appreciate you. We'll catch you next time. Please stay safe. Appreciate your support again. Appreciate you tuning in.